Private auction dinner. The grand ballroom shimmered like a jewel box. Crystal chandeliers cast soft light over white linen tables adorned with golden cutlery, and towering floral arrangements created a scene straight out of a dream. Exactly the kind of fantasy the elite liked to buy into. Waiters glided between guests carrying silver trays of truffle risotto and vintage wine. The auction dinner was in full swing. Fashion's royalty, philanthropists, and international moguls sipped champagne, and fine wine made quiet power plays behind jeweled smiles. Vivi sat beside Matteo at the head table, radiant in her couture gown, restored just enough to sparkle under the light. Cameras flashed discreetly. Her name was whispered from table to table. She smiled graciously, poised like she had belonged in this world her whole life. Then the doors parted once more. A hush rippled through the crowd, not overt, but perceptible to those paying attention. A man entered with measured steps. Tailored to perfection, clad in an ink-black tuxedo with a silk cravat and hair swept back like old-world nobility, he moved like he owned to the room. What caught Vivi's attention wasn't the man's face. It was the glint at his wrist as he lifted a glass of Barolo from a passing waiter. Silver. Triangular. Her breath caught. He turned his head slowly, locking eyes with her across the distance. A smile, not warm, not polite, but knowing, tugged at the corner of his lips. Bellissima, he mouthed silently, with a slight raise of his glass. I must say, you were born for this world. Vivi offered a polite nod, smiling as she lifted her glass, until her eyes caught a glint on his wrist again. His cufflinks. Silver. Triangles. Not just similar, the exact shape she and her friends had found around the hotel. Her heart stuttered in her chest. The room around her faded, sounds muffled as if she were underwater. He noticed her gaze and tilted his wrist subtly, letting the cufflink catch the candlelight. And then he smirked. Not the casual grin of a flirt or a fan. A knowing smirk. Vivi's throat tightened. She lowered her glass, her smile faltering. Vivi! Matteo leaned in, eyebrows drawing together. Is everything all right? She straightened immediately, blinking the days away. Yes, she said, forcing a smile. The wine's strong. Keep smiling, Matteo whispered, brushing his knuckles lightly against her arm. Get used to it, ragazza, everyone's watching. But Vivi wasn't thinking about the crowd or the cameras anymore. All she could see was the silver triangle. The gentleman from the auction. The one who won the dress. The one who told her she was born for this world. Only now Vivi saw what she had missed before. The calculation behind his eyes. The way he watched her not with admiration, but with interest. Like a chess player eyeing a piece already in motion. She forced a smile as Matteo leaned in to say something, but her fingers trembled slightly as she reached for her wine. Across the room, the mystery man turned his back to her and began speaking with one of the event organizers, dropping the name of a sizable donation. A patron of fashion, they said. Vivi wasn't fooled anymore. The silver triangle at his wrist glinted again, a signal meant just for her. The puppet master wasn't hiding anymore. He was in the room. Vivi's smile faltered the second the man turned away. She could feel it, his gaze, the weight of it, still lingering like invisible threads pulling at her composure. She excused herself from the table with a quiet whisper to Matteo, something about needing air. He was too caught in conversation with another designer to press. She slipped out of the ballroom, heels clicking against marble, the sounds of string instruments and crystal laughter fading behind her like a curtain drawn shut. Inside the ornate bathroom, gilded mirrors, velvet stools, and rose-scented air. Vivi rushed into one of the private stalls and locked the door. Her breathing was shallow. Fast. Her knees felt weak. Keep it together. She reached into her clutch, fingers trembling as she pulled out her phone. It took her a few seconds to unlock the screen. She scrolled frantically through her recent calls. June, Luke, Dorian. Someone, anyone. Her thumb hovered over the call button. And then slip. The phone slipped through her sweaty fingers, clattering once against the marble edge of the toilet before splashing in with a hollow plunk. No, 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 she gasped. She dropped to her knees, staring down at the bowl as if willing the phone to rise back up. Her reflection in the polished stall door looked like a stranger. Wide eyes, smeared makeup, lips pressed tight to hold back a sob. The panic boiled over. Her shoulders shook as tears spilled down her cheeks. Her hands clutched the edges of the toilet for balance, but she didn't care anymore about appearances. For the first time in a long time, Vivian Cross felt truly, utterly powerless. A soft knock sounded on the stall door. "Miss, are you okay?" came a gentle voice with a light accent, another guest maybe, or one of the attendants. Vivi didn't answer right away. She managed, barely audible. "Can you tell Matteo Artari that Vivian isn't feeling well? I need to go back to my hotel. Please. Right now." "Of course," the woman replied softly. "I'll let him know." She waited until the footsteps faded before she opened the stall door. Her reflection in the mirror looked fragile but determined. She rinsed her hands, straightened her dress, and took a shaky breath. The mask went back on, but inside she was breaking. Back at the hotel, the soft glow of the bedside lamps bathed the suite in a warm, golden hush. June sat cross-legged on the bed, her laptop open, eyes flicking with excitement as she pieced together the trail of silver triangle patterns with Dorian. Then a new email pinged from her semiotics professor, who had become increasingly obsessed with her unfolding Paris story. The message was brief but revelatory. "They're not just symbols. They're signatures. The silver triangles weren't random. They were calculated. A mark left behind by a group that didn't hide in shadows but owned them. For each victim or target, they left 3 silver triangles. The first meant we were here. The second, we're watching. And the third, we're coming for you." They didn't just commit crimes. They claimed them. June didn't even have time to tell Dorian, Luke, or especially Vivi about these terrifying findings that her best friend would be facing. Then the door burst open. Vivi stood in the doorway, shaky, breathless, and broken. Her glamorous gown was still impeccable, but her face told a different story. Streaks of mascara ran down her cheeks, and her eyes were red and swollen. She looked like she had seen a ghost. June stood first. "Vivi!" She was rushing over. "What happened?" "I saw him," Vivi choked out, her voice shaking. "I saw him. He knows me. He knows me too well." June led her to the couch, gently removing her heels. "Breathe, okay? Sit down. You're safe." She wrapped a blanket around Vivi's shoulders and disappeared into the kitchenette. A minute later, she returned with a steaming cup of tea. "Sip this." Small sips. Vivi's hands trembled as she accepted it. June sat beside her and pulled her close. "Tell me, slowly, what happened?" It took a few deep breaths before Vivi could form the words. "There was a man. At the gala. One of the donors. He won the auction of the couture dress. He lifted his glass to me. Complimented me. Said I was born for this world. But her voice cracked. He was wearing the cufflinks. Silver triangles. Exactly like the ones we found in the hotel and in Paris." June's eyes sharpened. Her arms tightened around her friend. "You think he's the one behind everything?" Vivi nodded slowly. "It was him. I don't know how I know, but I know. The way he looked at me, like he was playing a game, and I didn't even know I was a piece on the board." June rose from the couch, pacing. Did he give a name? No. Just that smirk. And then I panicked. I tried to call one of you, but my phone fell into the toilet. I couldn't think. I just needed to get out of there. June crossed her arms, her mind already spiraling into detective mode. This man wanted to be seen. He wanted you to notice the cufflinks. That's a move. Then we're not done here. Not even close. June's voice was steady now. This just got deeper. And Vivi, still shaken, but wrapped in the safety of her friend, finally exhaled.